Okay, so good morning all, and hope you are keeping yourself safe, your families are safe, and please take care of yourself during this difficult time. Um, the organizer in Chandigarh University it's not something which we are doing for the first time. We have done similar sessions for Chandigarh University before. I think some of the faculties have been closely working with us before. So it's a privilege, pleasure to be on this platform and talk to several students. Quick introduction about myself. I am the founder and co-founder of two organizations and one initiative. So Complete Open Source Solution, which is a training company, does a lot of interns training and professional training across the globe. I started that company back in 2003, and we became a Red Hat partner, and celebrated this success with about 25 or 27 awards from Red Hat and different other organizations. For last 4 years, we are running a program called LEAP, which is bridging the skill gap between corporate and the academy. So let me share my screen. Yeah, so here you go. And I just want one of you to confirm if my screen is visible.
Yes, sir, visible.
Perfect. Okay, so what are we talking about? We are talking about an internship, which is skill-based internship. Okay. My style of discussion is very interactive, so I'll not go through, um, the background and all that. Okay, I just wanted to welcome you that your generation, if you understand the industrialization, so we are in the fourth generation of industrialization. So when I say fourth generation of industrialization, today what you see is mostly divided into these four dimensions, right? Interoperability, information transparency, technical assistance, and decentralized decision. So these are the four principles or the pillar which drive the industry 4.0. And you kids are in industry 4.0. So if you talk to your grandparents, probably, or little before time, we had the first industry civilization where the factories were set up in Western countries. Then, it was set up in India as well. And that industrialization was fully mechanical, right? Then you might have seen, the second industrialization where the mechanical things were automated, right? So that was the second, generation of industrialization. The third generation of industrialization was all electronics. Okay, so we lived, our life with that industrialization. Today, what you have is primarily on IoT and IOP, Internet of Things and Internet of People. How do you relate? So the movies we have watched, or I personally have watched, I'm 43 now, so I'm talking about in last 35 37 years. Okay, what I have seen the industry changing, right? The sci-fi movies, the gizmos, what was envisioned, people invented and people did things in a decade time. So today, what you are seeing that has already come. So whether you take internet 5G, I'm sure every one of you is using an internet phone, and that internet phone technology, how it works. So just take a pause, think how stuff works. So you are in information technology, you have studied information system, you have studied computer science, you have studied operating system, networking, several things, right? And what you need to do after that, you have to either build or operate. So I divide the roles. What the industry 4.0 requires is either you will build or you will operate. Okay, so the technology is interoperable. To operate, technical assistance is required. Okay, and the technical assistance is required to operate that kind of industry is definitely different than what our previous generation was supporting. So previous generation was supporting physical computers, physical information technology. Today it is more cyber physical systems. Okay, and when you are supporting the mobility systems or the devices, whether it is through the cloud computing or edge computing, right? You can note down these words that may not be easy to understand, but when you're looking at the internet of thing or internet of people, where you know you are connected to a system which is definitely talking to some other system, right? And when the system is at the edge, for example, a car, an electric vehicle, right? EV. So it's a connected car because that car is connected to another system which is actually feeding and taking the data or information, right? Or your cameras, which is installed in different traffic signal and different apartments and all that, right? I'm not just talking about India, I'm talking about advanced countries as well. Then you think of the government system like your Aadhaar, UPI, all that. So what you access today is the point devices, which is like a tab, a mobile, a point of sale, the counters, right? The scanners, all that. It is connected to a connected device. Okay, so that means which transmit the system or receive, the information. And there are systems on the cloud, right? Now, this entire thing is again interconnected to different system, right? So that's the world, right? The world has changed from, industry civilization, mechanical to, electromechanical, electronics. Then today it is purely IoT and IOP, right? So how you will perform in that industrial system, right? Post or when you get graduate. And what companies look at is the developers to build or operators to use or support those systems. Now, is your study, what you have done, is matching with that or not? Let's discuss. So the benefits I need not say, but as I took the example, like the food delivery. So today, since the pandemic hit, I think most of our grocery, the supply chain management and the purchase, right, of any food item or buying of food item, or your grandma who has a great recipe and she want to put it on on that recipe for a sale, right? Okay, so that people uh, get a piece of it and appreciate it. Everything is on the app. So as I said, there are two kind of development. One is the end user devices or the applications, which you call Android app, or the app which runs on your tablet or on the phone, right? But there is a huge ecosystem which behind the scene it work, right? And there is a people system, right? People are also having gadgets to scan the order, payment, all that. So this entire system has been automated or expected to be automated by these fast moving companies, and they see the benefit, right? And who will suffer? The old companies who, or the companies who do not change, right? I'm not saying old or new, but the companies who do not change, they will get impact the most. And that is how the economy is um, changing in the company, no sorry, in this country. Now, how the skill gap is a concern, right? Because everyone must be aware that going forward, the IT operation, the information technology operation, right, is definitely related to cloud and DevOps. Note down these two things, which is the de facto, thing in your support system. Similarly, in your development, you know, the full stack development means what? Earlier, there was somebody to collect the requirement, to develop things, to document things, to test things. We had several departments, okay, to deploy things, uh, even to take it to the market. But today, it's done by just few graduates or few, quality people. So the company's decision to hire is to look at people who understand and have practical exposure to the DevOps and cloud native technology. And what are those technologies? Okay, those technologies is something which you should note down. Okay, the first and foremost thing is your open source technologies. Okay, why the relevance of open source has become so, um, so popular today, compared to my time when I started my career. At that time, people didn't wanted to take risk. I'm talking in early 2000. People didn't wanted to take risk in technology because the mainframe computing, the supercomputing, and the information systems, the cards and the card readers, several things were there. So the data center technology, everybody were pretty comfortable with the technology. It was already working. Now, today, things are changing in a very fast pace, and hence the development cannot be one company's responsibility, and that is where the open source comes. So what is open source? Where community development develop an enterprise product. Okay, you take anything, okay, whether you take how all these end user apps are working. Okay, at one point it was open source, it became an enterprise. All the operating systems, all the middleware, all the different other systems. So, and another thing which is moving the most is the middleware. Okay, so most of your generation might be seeing the touch and feel systems like the user apps, the gaming apps and all. But what is most demand is the integration systems, the systems which work behind. For example, the middleware, for example, the Kubernetes, for example, the operating system, for example, the load balancer, for example, the HA proxy, for example, the deployment automation tool. So these things end customer do not touch, right? But behind the scenes, these are the enabler for the rest of the ecosystem, right? So what you should do is you should look for how Amazon works, how Azure work, how a data center work, how a banking technology work, how Paytm works, how PayPal work. So the system which works behind the scene is all open source or enterprise open source. You divide this into two categories. Open source means a community is developing for a collaborative development and collaborative use and reproduce it. Enterprise open source means the community is developing, enterprise is supporting, stabilizing it, testing it, securing it, and giving it for production use. Production use means it can be used in healthcare, it can be used in banking, like you have got your payment system, or it can be used in research, it can be used in space technology. So that is called enterprise open source. It's open source being tested, proven, relied for different industry use cases. Now, the core of the technology, okay, which is hosting this entire ecosystem is Linux and Kubernetes. I repeat, if I need to summarize this entire thing, whether you take a BMW car or a Tata Harrier claiming that, okay, I have the auto roadside assistance and it's a connected car, that means there is a mini Kubernetes working there, hosted on Linux. Or you take any, Java, Angular, Python app running, it is on Linux, right? If you look at any scaling system, like you have Aadhaar, you have UPI, you have several things, they are hosted on Kubernetes. So the core technology, the industry factory technology, I would say, right? So that factory technology is Linux and Kubernetes. So you have the whole industry 4.0. Now, if I have to summarize, the core of the crux of the technology in the cloud and DevOps is Linux and Kubernetes, right? So the result of this entire discussion, where you should be focusing to build your strong foundation, rather worrying on the tools, because as I said, the tools are meant for deployment, testing, or development, or marketing, or sales. So instead of relying on these tools, which is keep changing in the industry 4.0, what you should be focusing more is the industry enterprise platform, the factory platform, which is the core platform, and that is Linux and Kubernetes. Okay. So if you have understood this, then what will you host on top of it and what skills will complement? Okay. So I need not say, but the kind of role which you would be expecting after your MCA, BTech. For me, if you ask, okay, Deepak, will you hire a MCA versus a BTech versus a IITian? I have been preparing graduates who complete BTech as well as MCA and MTech, also from IIT. I find these roles in them. So as a mentor, what I always do is I look at an individual and see whether that individual fall on any of these category or not, right? Let me take one at a time. Devops engineer, what he's expected to do, he is expected to start supporting the developers who can automatically commit the code onto the GitHub or GitLab or Bitbucket. There are different source code, control system or version control system, or TFS, Microsoft Team Foundation. So a DevOps engineer is somebody who can support the developer committing the code automatically, merging, branching, distributing, packaging the code, okay, and making sure that it is deployed automatically, like using Jenkins, GBL Lab, your Octopus, your Bamboo. There are several deployment tools with security. So DevSecOps, that means when it is deploying, the trust happens through the keys, not through the username and password, right? So you don't log into the system using a username and password. It is rather through the trust keys. And make sure that post deployment, the application goes live automatically and it is tested automatically. When I say testing, you can use JMeter, you can use several other testing tools to look at the threshold, TPS, transaction per second, and all that, and make sure this application, which the DevOps engineer has helped the developer to deploy that application to production, goes live. All that happens within a minute or less than an hour. I repeat, this is the role, right? A role where the DevOps engineer or the developer help each other, making sure this entire life cycle, which I talked about, happens within few minutes. And that is why you would see apps like Netflix, all multimedia, entertainment app, right? All, payment app. It goes through several, changes. And what you do when you open your mobile and tap on it, you get the new version of it. Or while you are, playing the game, or you are watching the, television, things keep on, changing across the world. And that happens by these engineers called DevOps engineer developer. Then there is another system engineer called cloud. This is the kind of engineer who provision a private cloud or set up a zone or, host group in a public cloud, right? So if you are an Azure engineer or AWS engineer, you are not setting up the cloud. What you're doing, you're setting up a customer's tenant, okay? But if you are a OpenStack engineer, like you are working for National Informatics System, NIC of India, which is the government cloud, or Aadhaar, or any, or National Payment Corporation of India, which takes care of your entire payment, or the banking cloud. So these engineers deploy the cloud, maintain the cloud, manage the cloud, health check the cloud, operate on that cloud. So these are the cloud system engineers. Then the another role, which is like data, right? Are you a data developer? That means you're very good in Python, right? You can fetch the data, you can transform the data, you can load the data, you can visualize the data, right? So the data engineers and the developers will be working in these four segments. Fetch the data, structured data, unstructured data. That means it can be text data, video data, Excel data, CSV file data, large data files, small data file. You know, think of I don't know how many of you have seen, right? Okay, there are thousands of people work in Reliance who actually collect the check, right? So these things are being, you might have seen people come and they take a picture, right, of the bills receipt, or the Flipkart, Amazon. Okay, they take the picture what item they deliver and what item they return, right? So this entire data processing is being analyzed, or your loan processing today. Nobody goes to the branch, right? Everything is happening from these, systems which using PDF reader, OCR, or anything. So the data is no more in rows and column. So what you have studied in your college is RDBMS, relational database management system. You might have studied indexing, join, all that stuff. But today the role which it demands is unstructured data, the data which is not in rows and column. So how you will extract the data, how you will transform the data, how you will load the data, how you will visualize the data. Visualizes the data is like, okay, you take the COVID situation. How many statistics the World Health Organization release, or the state government release, or the central government release. So there are so many statistics, and when there are so many statistics, can you make those statistical presentations based on the data which is being processed and being managed? So the third, fourth or fifth role is the microservice full stack developer. That means you're developing an application which is, I would say, progressive web app, right? So days are gone where everybody wanted you to install an app on your mobile. Okay, and just take my word, in next 2 years time you will not be installing any more app. It is going to be all progressive web app. Progressive web app in the sense, you are not going to store any app on your laptop or on your mobile device. Okay, it is all going to be hit the URL or scan the QR code and you feel like it is an application. That means you are not eating your memory from the local mobile device. Rather, everything happens through the cache. Everything happens seamlessly, okay, as if you were doing it on a home computer or on an office computer. So that kind of development can happen using microservices. Okay, so where every application is just a service, and this service need not use a full compute resource. It only uses the resources which is needed at that point of time. So that is why the serverless technology is used. That is why the service mesh has come into the picture. So that kind of developer need to be the Java developers and the Python developers, or even the .NET developer, who need to focus on microservice development on Kubernetes, right? Digital application developers, like, if you are a UI UX developer, right? I always ask this question, okay, in the design thinking, that if you are a visualization developer, start your question first. Can I develop an app for blind? I repeat this question. If you are a user experience developer, the best thing to try your creativity is to design something for disability. If you can design something for disabled people, that means you have designed the best app of the world. I repeat, all digital application developers, if you are into the design, I would say, can you design a fridge for the blind? Right? That should be your design thinking, right? And if you're talking about a developer who can design user experience, then you should first start designing for disabled people so that your able people can also use it, instead of designing something for the able people and the disabled people do not use it. So if you are in international market, you want your work to be appreciated in international market, then do the development for disabled first, right? So that is the kind of digital application developer. And all these guys must be managed, self-managed against a timeline, budget, quality outcome, presentation, right? And selling. I repeat, all these 6 roles which I talked about, you cannot say I am a geek, I'm a developer, I cannot present. No company is going to appreciate. You cannot say, I'm a developer, I'm a system administrator, I cannot do my program management. I cannot say that, okay, I cannot control my budget or I cannot manage my team budget, my self budget. When I say budget, it is not always dollar or rupee. It is also time, outcome, and return on investment, right? Ask these questions, and that is what a Scrum Master does. So when you are working in a group of people for a common objective, it is, and that too in the remote, world like now, where you don't see each other, you don't hug each other, you don't have any emotional connect, you still have to deliver the outcome. Then you must have some percentage of agile Scrum methodology to be developed. So those are the role which actually pays you the most. So the indicative salaries in the international market, and India is no more a local market. Again, I'm saying in my company, I have got interns who started their career equivalent to the international market. Okay, they have grown proportionate to the international market. The reason is it's not about bag full of money somebody is earning only in Google, Amazon, Microsoft. It is also the small startups who pay the best, provided you bring the best to the table. I repeat, the 6 roles which I talked about, the data. When I say data, the tools are varied, whether it is Kafka, Solar, Hadoop, you know, all that. But do you understand managing unstructured data? Ask this question. Similarly, when it is cloud, not necessarily, Jack Ma's Alibaba cloud or Amazon cloud or Google cloud or Azure cloud. It is about, do you understand infrastructure as a code? Do you understand platform as a service, right? Do you understand how cloud technology work, how it is built? Can you build it? Okay. And when I say can you, that doesn't mean you will take years to build it. Can you do it in a week's time, right? That is the efficiency the customer or the companies are looking at. When I say DevOps, can you help the development team who has several tools to develop? They can check in, they can, merge, distribute, manage the source code, build it automatically, package it, test it, deploy it, unit test, deploy, functional test, production, then sustenance. All that happens automatically. And as I also said, that you also need to have Kanban, Scrum, Agile, Jira, Confluence, that kind of knowledge for project management and visualization, digital, design. That is your, as I said, if you are a good UI UX developer, I always encourage you to get your work tested by a blind or a disabled people who can use your app. Then your app is the best. If they cannot, I don't think, okay, you are a good, designer. Then making sure that, okay, you also have certain great, development skill set like Angular, Node.js, all that Java, .NET stack for your microservice development. So now what happened when my company was not getting people, right? We are a not so big company, but we are growing almost 200% every year. We started with just 6 to 7 people, 4 years back, and today we are almost 100. So when we needed people, we were not getting them. So what we did, we started this program called Leap, okay, in association with our training company COSS. So and it is a sponsored program. It is not like, okay, it's being a commercial program. So we are expecting students to come forward, invest their time, resources, commitment to learn all that which I talked about. So it is absolutely impossible if you do not have a mentor in front of you or with you. So what we did is we are bringing the mentorship from our employees. We ask our employees to invest some amount of their time teaching you virtualization using VMware, uh, Red Hat Linux, as a Linux operating system, Python to do the development, all the way getting a REST API development or game app development. AWS is the cloud, right? This time it is AWS, next time it would be Azure. Docker is a container, right? There are other container technology like LXC, but we teach Docker. You need to have one container technology. Kubernetes to manage hundreds, thousands of containers and deploy the application. So these application can be an API app, can be IoT app, edge compute app, it can be a mobile app, it can be anything, right? So when you have these kind of learning happens in a pace like where the assignments are hands-on, less of theory, more of practical, more hands feet on your job. Make sure that you present every weekend as an individual, as a team. Understand how GitHub work, make your GitHub profile, get your code there, make sure documentation, make sure your sprint plan, everything is on GitHub. Make sure you have an industry mentor to coach and mentor you, and you deliver the project, which is a real project, okay, coming from Prodevans. So this is what we have thought for you, and what I'm expecting is take charge. And there are hundreds of lessons and time. Do not waste your time on social media, social, this thing, because that will distract you the most, right? You can use one of the chat messenger, you can use, but that doesn't mean I will learn things from YouTube. Yes, you can learn it, but there are several YouTube video which will distract you, will not get you the foot strong on the ground, right? Your foundation must be strong, and for that you have to invest at least a week time on each technology. And at my age we used to invest at least a year. Now I'm talking about at least a week. So if you do that kind of thing, then your program is going to be something which is if I can show, um, yeah, something like this, right? So we should start Linux administration for 60 hours, Python development for 20 hours, story writing, sprint plan, GitHub, create your documentation, create your README profile, all that for 8 hours. AWS cloud computing, Lambda function and all that, within 20 hours. Containers, 4 hours. Kubernetes containers, 4 hours. You need to know architecture, you need to know principles, you need to know some cubes, admin command and kubectl command, and a project which is a real-time project, and have a lot of fun with respect to your presentation, socializing with people, and make sure that okay, you have everything is done like an international standard. This is something which I asked my people to do it in a very pragmatic way, so that that when you are in the college, and I know Chandigarh University is the best university. So, but you need to make sure that okay, these things must be done, every semester or every year for you, so that when you come out, you dictate the interviewer and decide whether to join or not to join. And what I'm helping is, helping the graduates to find something for themselves in the industry. So I'm almost, on time, the time which was allocated to me. I will just pause here and check with rest of you what questions you have with respect to this program, what questions you have with respect to the topping skills, what questions you have with respect to the future role, and what questions you have with respect to the industrialization 4.0. So open for questions, and Nitya, Dinesh, several others, okay, who have joined from the core team. If you have anything, please add, or you can open it for Q&A.
So I'm really thankful to you, sir, for sharing your valuable time and for sharing things related to the technology. I'm really thankful to you. And I request the members, those who are here. So if you want to ask any question that sir has shared with us, so kindly feel free. Right, so I'll be requesting you guys.
Yeah, if the questions are coming in the chat, I can answer. Please post your questions if you are hesitant to speak. But I have been to Chandigarh and I didn't find people hesitate to speak there. Ramanjit.
Hello, sir.
I think people, students in Chandigarh don't shy on the questions. I have seen, shyness more, students in south side of India, or especially east side of India.
Yeah.
Okay, the question. Okay, cool. So what is the question? It would. Good morning. It would accommodate until 99 participants register. I request all students to fill the form. Is it a paid internship? Answer is this entire thing I have decided to sponsor, except the administrative charges. So the training company is going to send you certain courseware, a certificate, some kit, and several other things which they will have to manage, because it's more like not for profit, but these guys are running it. So they will, I think they're charging about 1,500 or so. In today's time, people spend 1,500 for food or movie event. So it's a 8-week program, and it is nothing to do with the commercial intent, for the organization. What do I sponsor? I sponsor my employees' time, as well as the technology trainers fee. So that means all the trainer fee, which is needed for this internship, is being paid by me. So all the trainers who will come and teach, they are paid by me. Did that answer your question?
I'm really thankful to you, sir, for this.
Can we do this always? I do not know. I need a lot of peoples, and I'm very specific going to the tier 2, tier 3 cities. That means I'm not discouraging people from Bangalore or Hyderabad or Chennai or Delhi, but I'm saying that, okay, people who study in small colleges and the small town or the small cities, they don't get the opportunity to participate in the big campus, and for them this preparation is must. So that's another intention. We have started this program with the small town, to make sure that, okay, we have great participation from there.
Yes, sir.
Also wanted to add, we have also lined up communication coach. That means, okay, people who are hesitant to speak, write content, hesitant to present a slide, we are spending at least 2 to 4 hours for them, because I know if you don't do that, industry is not going to accept you. You might be the best coder of the world, but if you do not know how to organize your thought, how to do time management when you speak, industry is not going to accept you. So that is also part of your internship. See, if I want to hire 30 people from this group, or 10 people from this group, I'm expecting all that quality which I talked about. And it is difficult. That is why we want to teach, prepare. If not in Leap 4.0, we will do it in Leap 5.0. We will do it in Leap 6.0. But when we take, the person should be productive. Okay, that's the whole motto. So there is no other output or outcome except preparing you for the job, or the best job.
Sir, there's a question that I want to ask.
Please go ahead.
It is that what is the future of AWS in today's industry, sir?
Okay, so I would say, I always answer these questions through analogy. So will you say what is the future of mobile? So AWS is a platform which is a cloud platform, right? AWS has got hundreds of services on AWS, right? So instead, your question should be, what is the future of a cloud engineer? Is this is your question, or you wanted to have a job only within AWS?
Very right, sir. Actually, I wanted to know the future of a cloud engineer.
Yeah. So
yes, sir.
So obviously, hope all of you understand, a computing system made available for anyone, anytime, over the internet is called cloud. It's called public cloud, and AWS is a public cloud. Azure is a public cloud. GCP is a public cloud. And I also said Alibaba, which is Jack Ma's cloud. So these cloud are meant for the organization, individual, student, research organization. Without investing physical computer, they can get unlimited resource when they pay as they use. It's exactly like your electricity or water bill at home. As you use, you pay, right? So you have to first associate your credit card, and you keep consuming what? Keep consuming the compute, storage, network, load balancer, API, databases, middleware, all services, and you pay for everything. That is called public cloud. Now, how this cloud system is designed in such a way that there are many edge locations, I would say the endpoints, right? So AWS cloud has got zones, like in US, it has got central, eastern, west, zones. Similarly, in India, it has got west, south. But there are different zones, and each zone has got data centers, and these data center host the compute. But you do not know where exactly it is. Since you do not know where physical location it is a secret location, but it is available from these data center. Now there's somebody who is actually working behind the scene to facilitate all that, and they are all cloud engineers. Now, can this thing will change or reduce? Absolutely not, because that is the way the information system is going to be handled in future. Now, what about the government, bank, secret agencies like DRDO, healthcare, research, universities, right? They cannot host their data onto the public cloud. So where they will host their own cloud, right? And that own cloud is nothing but a private cloud. So same concept, Same definition, getting compute, network, memory, CPU, storage, IP address, all that in a wide area network or local area network is called private cloud. Okay, so a private cloud and public cloud require engineers, developers who can host their application or the data workload. So that is the future. And if that question was very generic, I just explained it. Is it going to stay? Yes, it is going to stay forever. When I started my career, okay, late 90s, okay, I was working in a physical data center. These physical data centers are still there, but I was going to a office, physically accessing it, in a network. Now everything is on the internet public network. It is accessible with a secure way. It has to be secure. Security is the must. So that is why the cloud engineers and DevSecOps engineers, cloud engineer and DevSecOps engineer are the most demand and the costliest role in the world today. And that need Linux, RHCE, kind of skill. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. I got clarity on that. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes. It is required that all of you need to understand. See, do you know why I appreciate these small kids like my son? He come and ask, okay, how this thing work, right? So always question yourself at your age when you are, in the age group of, 18 to 22 or 23. This is the age you must know how stuff work, because curiosity, will end after this age. So if your curiosity, you want to be active and practiced, always try to know how stuff work. So go and study this.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Akashdeep, and I want to know what is the future of sir ethical hacker in present time.
Yeah, I'll give you a simple example. If your parent has a savings account and a hacker steal that money, which your dad would have, it's not a good example. Let us say person X has got savings money, or money or resources or information stored in a vault or in a system, and it is stolen. What will happen? It's a loss, correct?
Yes.
So if it is a loss to an individual, you have to protect. But what if it is a loss to the company? Then the company will lose its credibility, customer, money, market, and will shut down. If this thing happens to the government, let us say central government, some information get hacked, right? So that impacts in international community, where people start talking about, oh, so they have such a poor infrastructure. So ethical hackers are the hackers who actually do penetration, web security testing.
Yes, sir.
To understand how much vulnerability you have. It's like, okay, you go and do a CT scan or MRI scan to understand what is not functioning correct. Then what do? Fix it.
Yes,
so
sir.
ethical hackers are the one who actually do a MRI scan of your application, infrastructure, website, or
And
whatever it is.
database.
It's exactly like an MRI scan, using several tools for the quickest time. Again, I repeat, the best ethical hackers should do it quickly.
Yes.
When I get into the call of when some of my customers' site got hacked and I get onto the call, I cannot take 1 week time to tell what is the problem. So I should have the utility or the ability to quickly tell what could be the problem,
Fraction of time.
so that I can prevent that attack within minute.
Yes.
Okay, because within minute your money will go, your resources will go, and the hackers are very, very smart. So ethical hacker must be a smarter hacker, right? But for a good cause. So for
Yes.
that, there are penetration testing tools, there are technology which is required, but as I said, always understand the root of the problem. And that is Linux and Python.
Yes.
Hackers use these two technologies.
Hackers are used
Python,
to Linux and Python.
yeah, Python can talk to anywhere.
Yes, sir.
Linux can be installed any place. So
Yes, sir.
if you are good in these two, because tools will not save you, buddy. Okay, tools will never save you. Tools will keep changing, right?
Yes.
Ethical hacker of 2000 and ethical hacker of 2021 has very different
Very
skill
smart.
set. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Did that
sir.
answer your question?
Thank you, sir.
Most welcome. So if I ask, can an application developer need to know how to secure the application?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? Can a cloud engineer must know how to secure the cloud?
Yes, sir.
So do they need to be ethical hacker, or they will hire ethical hacker? They
So
need
they
not.
should be ethical hackers
Exactly.
themselves.
So they must have the fundamental and foundation. That is why in Linux we teach, security first. So today in cloud world, security first is, the thing. So if you want to study cyber security, you must know fundamental of Linux and Python. Any other questions? Yeah, good questions coming up. Keep flowing. I have 5 more minutes. The duration of internship is 6 to 8 weeks. So we have a 6 week and there is a grace period of 2 weeks to make sure that you have some buffer time to finish your project. But there is a strict guideline. And if your attendance short, as I said, this is a fully sponsored program. We do not entertain your GRE coaching, your other coaching. You have to dedicate your time minimum 2 to 3 hours. I think it is 3 hours, if I'm honest. Minimum 3 hours, 6 days a week.
Sir, when can we start this internship? What is the date?
Let me share my screen. Is my screen? Yeah, I think screen is shared, right?
Yes, sir, sure.
Yeah. So this is the schedule. That's starting, tomorrow. So why do we need to prepare you for virtualization? Because you have to use your home computer or laptop to create multiple virtual machines to test these things or practice these things. So virtualization is first. Okay. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? We still have 4 more minutes. I expect, young people like you should put me a tough question. Curiosity is mother of invention, isn't it? You need to be curious. You need to question. How many people have joined?
So the now count is 80, sir.
Okay. And which type of audience it is? Are they all MCA?
All are MC, sir.
BTech?
All are MC students, sir.
MCA.
Yeah.
Which semester?
PET and regular are there. So they're going to be from second year.
Okay. So that means what I spoke is relevant to them, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, now even the kindergarten student understand what I speak.
They have started, sir.
My son, he does Python programming. He keep on doing something here and there. question me, so it is difficult to handle sometimes.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, I think these questions you can ask using
Hello, sir.
the email and all. What is the timing and all that stuff? I think that can be
Yeah.
given by the admin people. Is there any technical question? Or were you expecting something else? If I may ask. Um,
Hello.
yeah.
Uh, Good morning, sir.
Yes.
It's afternoon. Sorry. Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon. It
Uh,
really doesn't matter in which time zone you are.
uh,
Go ahead and
Sir,
ask.
my question was mostly related to the timings of the internship, as we'll have our exams from, I think, 15th May.
Uh-huh.
So how will that handle with the internship?
Uh, to be honest, if you are having a overlapping schedule, you form a batch and let Dinesh know. He has sent his email ID, right? But as I said, every year I hire about 30 people. We do not hire more than 30, and we make sure that we hire people who dedicate their time, right? Today is Sunday. I'm spending my time, and weekend I spend, even though I have a lot of other work. Okay, so you have to, think as a group, as an organization, what time suitable is the most, and we need, at least 30 people to have that, because without training we cannot take the internship. That has been the ground rule. Hope you understand, because I never got what I intended to get. That is why we started teaching people, preparing them, and pick the best out of them. Okay, so if you have an overlapping exam, you cannot handle both the track, then you should wait for the next track. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So when will the next track start?
Please get in touch with Dinesh. He has sent his email
Okay.
ID.
Okay. So these 8 weeks will be just the training for the internship only.
It's training at work.
Okay. 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 Okay.
So that
Hello,
means
sir.
if you study for 2 hours, you have to work also. Work in the sense you have to produce the result.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yep. Go ahead.
Sir, for doing this internship, what are the basic knowledge and the forehand knowledge that a student must possess?
Uh, Knowledge in terms of education. You must have computer awareness, because nobody will teach you the basics of computer. And you must understand English, and you have time.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Everything, your voice is not audible.
Yes. Hello, sir. Now is
Yeah,
audible?
now audible.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. I'm asking about internship. I'm actually from Afghanistan, not from India. So I can also do this internship, because in some places in India, the foreigner they can do internship in India, sir. I'm just asking.
I have. You are from which country? You said.
Afghanistan.
You can do internship, brother. Means I don't think we have any restriction by region or geography. You can do, and you can, if you get selected, you can work from us, for us, from Afghanistan. So there is no restriction,
Thank
uh,
you, sir.
except 7 countries. Okay.
Yeah, not our country.
I hope you understand, right? Because
Yeah,
there
okay.
are certain international regulations where 7 countries are restricted to exchange the information over the internet, and that is where we restrict ourselves,
Okay.
right?
Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean okay, you cannot. You can.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Any other questions? We're top of the hour. Okay, so I must sign off. The organizers, thank you. It's been pleasure talking to you. Okay, the question is how this is helpful for the web developer. Guys, please understand, web development is just one layer of application. So if you have to do web development, you must be a DevOps aware web developer. I repeat, a front-end developer using Angular, PHP, WordPress, these things, you must know Linux plus security plus DevOps, right? Don't expect, because otherwise you cannot feed or run your family, because websites are made for a couple of ₹1,000 and that will not give you a job. So you have to the finest grade front-end developer. Don't brand yourself as a web developer. Did that answer your question? Right? After doing MCA, you don't brand yourself as a web developer. You have to say, I want to be a UI UX developer or a front-end developer. Okay. Fine. So thank you, gentlemen, and really appreciate. I will sign off and wish you all the best. Do take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Stay safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir.
Sir.